The Holy Father's trying to weave together an understanding for us that this is all interconnected. I moved to the Southwest in November of 2020, and in the course of my residence there and doing ministry, I've become associated with two of New Mexico's Pueblo peoples. There are a number of Pueblo groups in New Mexico, and my work has been occasionally to minister among the Acoma and the Laguna peoples. We have, as Franciscans, been working with them from the early 1900s. So we're very close to these folks. On one of my first visits to the Acoma peoples, I was at a little place called McCarty's, a tiny church, and it's on Acoma land. And I pulled up there early for Mass, and there was a guy sitting in his truck, an elderly man, and what do you do when you first arrive? You know, you say hello and you talk about the weather. Well, he's pointing over in the direction of Mount Taylor, which has several names among several different cultures, indigenous cultures. The white man calls it Mount Taylor, but they have names, and I won't try to pronounce them because I would mess it up. But we looked over to Mount Taylor and you could see some snow, and he said, we were remarking about the snow, and he said, "Winter is coming, Father." And, you know, from anybody else, I would take this as just a casual thing, you know, well, it's getting cold, whatever. But I took this here from a man who had lived in a relationship with the land and understood the changes of the seasons. And maybe I'm reading more into this little sentence that he said, but I just, even now as I say it, I feel kind of goosebumps because I'm talking to someone here who has in himself what Pope Francis talks about in his encyclical on the environment and ecology, Laudato Si'. He talks about integral ecology, and this is a buzzword, you know, it's a technical term. What the Holy Father is talking about is everything is interconnected, and indigenous people are connected to creation, to the land, in a way that outsiders, I don't think really can grasp. I was reading a short piece from a woman from Laguna, Pueblo, and she says it's not being a nature lover or having an appreciation for nature or being close to nature. She says it's a matter of our identity. We are identified, we share identity with the earth. And so you see that reflected in the way people live there. You see it reflected in the way they talk about the land. And, you know, all sorts of, you can point to contemporary news stories or concerns, as well as historical studies that have been done about how these indigenous people, especially the Pueblo people in New Mexico, have interacted with the land over the centuries they've lived there. I was with some leaders in Laguna Pueblo recently for a feast day, and you know, the governor of Laguna and his council were speaking in my presence. We were there for a feast day, but as part of his just conversations, he was relating to them a lot of land-related issues that are between this particular native group and other groups in relation to the state of New Mexico and water conservancy and other issues. So they're right on the cutting edge of the issues that the Holy Father's talking about in Laudato Si'. When Pope Francis talks about integral ecology, he's talking about a web of relationships. So in humans' relationship with the earth, it's not just, do I pitch a cup out my car window when I'm driving through the woods, or whether I recycle or not, or whatever. It's talking about the earth and humans' relationship as dwellers in and on the earth, and what that relationship does to all the other things that we're about. So economic, social, privilege, who's included and who's excluded in terms of resources. How resources are used affects not just whether there's going to be enough timber to build with or water to drink. It's going to be life and death for people. It's going to mean people excluded economically. So the Holy Father's trying to weave together an understanding for us that this is all interconnected. We had terrible wildfires, the worst in history, in recent history anyway, in New Mexico, and it's all interconnected. A fire here, a flood here, long stretches of extreme temperature, heat, speaks to integral ecology. And if I could say one more Franciscan thing, is that Francis of Assisi anticipated a term like integral ecology when he wrote his Canticle of the Creatures, and he addresses the sun as brother, the earth as mother. He's recognizing what Pope Francis writes about, that everything is in relationship and is interconnected.